Good afternoon. This is my CS 101 final project. I am Demetrion Cannon. I play football and I'm on a full-ride scholarship. That's why I'm here in Southeast Missouri today. I chose this major because of the money and I didn't want to have a worthless major. I just want to be stable in life after school and when football is done for me. Uh, for the first exercise, the basic concepts were performed in the terminal shell form of Python, involving text and numbers. This was the first time working with print as well. There wasn't really a lot of problem solving in this code. It was pretty straightforward, and I just read the instructions and went on from there. I again didn't face any challenges with this assignment. It was the easiest out of all the codes, but I did learn how to work with print and do some basic math in the Python. Uh, I'm gonna pull up that code for you right now. And like I said, it was in interactive mode, so there's nothing to run right here in this code, but this is it right here. On to the next. Concept used in The concepts used in this code were variables, print, and input. The new ones being input and variables. I didn't have any problems with either codes. Again, it was a very easy task to do. I'm going to show you both codes. So all I did was follow the instructions and input the information, which was my own. The hardest thing from this assignment was probably finding the information for my college code that we had to do, and because I didn't know everything off the top of my head, and I learned how to work with variables and inputs in this assignment. I'm gonna pull up the info code first. Here's the raw code right here. I'm gonna run it now for you. That's the code after it's been ran onto the next code, which is the college code. And here's the college code right here. And I'm gonna run it for you. This is the code after it's been ran. On to the next week, chapter 2B. The concepts that were introduced in this assignment were variables, constants, calculations, floats, and inputs, then converting integers into strings. For this assignment, I used notes from class, the examples in the book, and whenever I got stuck, I would ask my tutor that I worked with the whole semester for help. This was when the assignment started getting tough. I had some trouble converting integers into strings and knowing when to use the round function. Also, I learned how to use those. I also learned how to use those things, and also seeing how to have a well, saw how to have an organized code. Uh, that was the raw code. I'm about to run it for you. And this is the code after it's been ran. For chapter 3A. The concepts used in this assignment were variables, constants, if-else statements, and the format string. I used the book and got help from my tutor when it was needed. But for the most part, I just went off the instructions from my notes and the instructions and my notes. And for the biggest challenge that I faced was probably finding names for my variables and setting my calculations up. But I learned how to use the if-else statements and how to use the format string. And I would pull up that code for you right now. This is the raw code right here. You can see the format strings at the bottom. I'm going to run the code for you. Share my screen. It's a code after it's been ran. Program exercise, chapter 3B. Um, the concepts that were introduced in this assignment were the if statement, which is also known as the else if you input one, and that just if you input one thing, you'll get a specific output, and you'll see that when I show the code. For this assignment, I just followed the instructions I used in my book. After I learned how to use the elif statement, it did a majority of the work, or at least it was a majority of the work using that. And, the only challenge that I faced during this assignment was it being very time consuming and repetitive, and I learned how to properly use the elif statement. And I'll pull up the code for you right now. Here's the code right here, as you can see. where we could have been repetitive. Free. And that's the code after it's been ran. The concepts used in this assignment were for loops, and this was also the first time calculating uh, average in the range for this assignment. For this assignment, I used the book for examples in my notes while following the instructions. The challenge I faced with this assignment was using the for loop correctly, but I ended up learning how to use it properly, and I learned that the for loop cycles through the blocking and the number of range times. And I'm going to pull up this code for you right now. This is the raw code. I'm going to run it for you. This is the code after it's been ran. Chapter Chapter 4B. The concepts that were used in this exercise were introduced in this exercise with the condition control loop, which is also known as the while loop. For this assignment, I used the book and got help from my tutor whenever I faced a problem. The only challenge I faced with was trying to correctly format the input/output, and I learned how to use the while loop instead of the for loop. Uh, I'm gonna bring up that code for you now. And here's the code right here, and I will run it for you. And there's the code after it's been ran. Concepts introduced in this assignment were the while loop and the if else statement. Well, they were used for this assignment. I just went off the instructions and using my notes to complete it. It was pretty short and straightforward for the most part. I didn't face any challenges, honestly, but I did learn how to use the while loop and the if else statement together. And I'm gonna bring up that code for you now. This time I will share my screen so you can actually see me running the code. And that's the code being ran. I apologize for any background noise you may hear. For Chapter 5A, program exercises, the concepts I used in this assignment were defining the main function and calling the main function as well. I used notes from class, the instructions, and help from my tutor to approach the problems in this assignment. The challenge that I had was that the assignment was very time consuming and repetitive as well. But I learned how to define the main function and call it as well. Here's the raw code right here. I'm running it for you. And that's just the code being ran right there. Uh, Concepts that were introduced in this exercise were calling the functions with parameters. This was a pretty tough assignment. I had to backtrack to the previous assignments in my notes and the book as well to correctly complete it. The challenge that I had with this assignment was the user input portion and correctly formatting it, but I learned how to call parameters and I learned how to call functions with parameters. Here's the raw code right here. This is what the code looks like after it's been ran. For Chapter 7A, program exercises, the concepts that were introduced in this exercise were lists, which are arrays, and a new way to call the main function. I approach this assignments problems by using notes from class, uh, the the book, and I got help from my tutor when it was needed. Um, the only challenge I faced was correctly formatting the code. I learned how to call the main function a new way, and use the values from the list to run the function. Uh, Here's the raw code. Apologize for that. And that's the code after it's been ran. The 7B program exercises, the concepts that were introduced in this exercise are the index list, and which is shown in the hard bracket, and the slice list, which is also shown in the hard bracket. For this assignment, I rely heavily on the research because I didn't get the notes this class, and I had to use my book as well. The challenge with this assignment was finding out how to do it correctly since I missed class and I couldn't get the notes. I learned how to use an index list and a slice list at the end of the day. Here's the raw code right here. This is the code after it's been ran. For the final code, chapter 6 and 8, the concepts that were shown in this file were handling files and while handling files while also calling and defining the main function as well, using the while to by process assignment by referring back to previous assignments and the examples given by the book while following instructions. This assignment wasn't really challenging because it wasn't necessarily anything new. It was a combination of what we learned weeks beforehand. I'm gonna pull up this for you guys. Here's the raw file right here. And I will run this for you guys. I apologize for that. I have to be running. This is the final code after it's been ran. I want to thank you for watching. Thank you.